Hello, we live, we're live, and we're out here. Greetings, everyone. I am Akunna, and today is Wednesday, but it's not just any Wednesday. Today is WOHM Wednesday. Today is We Out Here Wednesday, and I'm very, very excited to be interviewing Talilo today. I hope everybody's having a good day so far. I am. The sun is shining. The cops are up to no good. The usual, besides the sun. But yes, I'm really excited today. I'm going to be interviewing Talilo. Now, We Out Here Wednesdays, we're going to be coming at you every Wednesday with something new. Max got his Back in the Mix series. I will be doing some interviews with people that you know, some people that you may not know. And we're just really excited to get it going. A couple weeks ago, we did interviews with the thesis artist before the show. And then Mac did his Back in the Mix with Raquel. And that was wonderful. Make sure you check these videos out. We are saving these so that you can go back and see it. We understand that we all can't be live at the same time. You know, we all have our obligations and things of that nature. So no worries if you don't catch the live. You can always tune in because we will have the video saved. So, we recently dropped an article about this wonderful song called 122nd by Talilo. And he has a video that came out as well with this song. And when he logs in, we're going to talk a little bit more about that and then just what he's been up to and things of that nature. So really excited to tap in with him. How is everybody else doing though? I see a couple of people up in here. Hello, Drew. Hello, PDX Law Girl. 503 Guerrero. Yes, Party Carter. Love Jones Music, who has an album and project dropping very soon. Hello, welcome. Got Max Smith in the house. Greetings, everyone. Awesome. Okay, so let's see. Maybe. Let's see. Coming in. Here we go. Hey, how's it going?
Hey, what's good? How y'all doing?
Doing well. How are you today?
Out here. You know what I mean? Just making it work.
No,
I'm a
I
little
know what you
tired.
mean.
My son kept me up like all night last night. So just
Oh, really?
getting
How old is he?
he just turned a month old. So
Oh, wow. Oh my God, baby.
yeah. So just navigating that right now.
Yeah. Right.
How you doing?
Yeah, newborns, that's a whole thing. That's a whole thing. They're like, I was so used to being a mama this whole time, and now I'm out here and all these bright lights and all these voices. I'm not used to this, because I used to get really, like, I love babies, but I used to get really annoyed by babies crying because it was just so really have been taken out of their element. They were in a warm womb. They had all of that for 9 months, and then all of a sudden we bring them into this, and they're like, bro, and they can't even talk to us to be like, I'm hungry,
Right.
I need this. So they just
Yeah, he was
so
crying like crazy last night, and I was like, bro, just talk to me. Let me know what
right.
you need, man.
You'd be like, what do you need? I got you. Just let me know. I'm trying to tell you right now.
Crazy, but it's a
Right.
blessing to
Well,
be.
thank you again for taking the time to join us today. I'm really excited to dive
Yeah,
into
no
this.
doubt.
So, yeah, so you recently dropped a song called 122nd with a
Yes,
video
yes,
as
yes.
well. And for those of you who do not know, you can check out the release written by Donovan Scribes. It is on weouthere.net. Go ahead and check it out, and the video is there. But for those who may not have seen it yet and are going to wait until after this live to go check out the article and the video, tell us a little bit about that release and what it meant to you, because we know it had a lot of background in it.
Yeah, that song is really important to me because it's a full circle type of song. You know what I mean? So back in the day, I used to identify with being in the streets, and I sold drugs in that area and got caught up a couple times, and I went to prison and all that shit, right? And when I got out of prison, I changed my life and really, really decided to, find my own culture. Um, mainly my heritage and my Filipino roots, West Pasayan. And my mom got cancer when I was locked up, so I realized the life that I was living didn't allow me to be there for her or my family in the Philippines. Um,
Mm.
and I also like meditated on why I went down the path I did, and I didn't really have the best role models in my life, so I started getting into like peer mentoring work. I actually have a lot of history with outside in. Growing up, I used to like be a houseless youth too, transitional age youth,
Mm-hmm.
and that's actually where I got arrested and got sent off to prison. Was in front of outside in too for a robbery charge. So
Wow.
yeah, so
Look at
I was
that.
I was like a stick up kid when I was younger, getting into shit. Very angry and aggressive, and didn't really have the conflict resolution skills that I do now. It
Mm.
was a lot more, reactionary. Um,
Right.
so when I started my path on becoming a mentor, I've been doing this for like 10 years now. Worked at Outside In, worked at New Avenues, worked at Step Up, got put on to My Voice Music, started my own organization called Cypher Cure, and eventually I started this organization. We're actually in the youth center right now, and
Awesome. Is this Ascending
yeah,
Flow?
this is Ascending Flow. I started it with my partner, and right now we're working with foster youth agent out of the DHS system. But my goal has always been to uh, create more access to this community. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Like in the north, on the
Yes.
east side, like all the services seem like they downtown,
Mm.
and downtown is pretty wild right now. So, um, and Portland is way bigger than downtown. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, um, that's where I'm at right now. 122nd is a representation of how someone can change their life and come out of a negative circumstance and still give back to their all over the place.
Mm.
Him and Rodolfo and a couple other artists put that mural up. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
and then right down the street is where the youth center is at. So that's what I try to show in the music video. Is this like on the same street is where all this is happening. Um,
Right.
and also another thing about 122nd is that it's not just my story; it's many people's stories. You know,
That's very true.
like
Yes.
the vigil in there is my homegirl's son. Like he passed away over there. You know what I mean? People have buried people on that street in that area, and it's not just 122nd and Burnside. You got Park Rose, you got Powellhurst, you got Rockwood, you got Centennial, you got Hazelwood, you got all these neighborhoods that are all
Mm.
going through their own struggles and have limited access to resources. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, and if you grow up in it, you know what I mean? So I feel like there's a better way to
Right.
live. I feel like there's a better way to live life though, but it takes like people that have been there and done that. And that's why I love hip hop. Like
Mhm.
a lot of the artists that use their platform to connect and inspire people and talk about these issues through their music. Cats like Swiggle,
Right.
Mike Capes, you know what I mean? Um,
Mhm.
and platforms like yourself, like using the platform to amplify the voices. And here at this studio, like
Definitely.
to pass it to the kids and the next generation that are living in a time that's very violent. Like when I was out here, it wasn't as violent as it is now.
Mhm.
So it's
Right.
crazy. I got a lot of
I really
I got
love.
oh go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying, just like you said, it's really just a full circle. Like everything from the location to telling the story to viewing the story in other people. And I feel like a lot of times it's very easy to get caught up in just talking about it. You know, like a lot of
Mhm.
people use music to express, but sometimes they don't know how to get the resources, or they don't have the drive to actually do something with it. You know what I mean? So I think that it's great that you are not only talking about it and sharing your story and being a reflection for other people and other youth that are going through the same things, but also showing them that you don't have to stay in that. Even if you're in the thick of it right now,
Right.
you can get out of it and come full circle just like you did.
Right.
Create beautiful things like a youth center in a place where it was heavily violent or you might not have a good history with. And sometimes it's easy to even just try to run away from those places because you want to make a positive change, so you feel like you don't want to be in that environment. But there's something so powerful in staying in that same spot and turning it around.
I think though, I was able to do that. It's not easy to do.
Right.
Get up to like, you know, having the right mentors, the right time and place, the right opportunities, but sadly a lot of people, um they can have those won't take them. It could be a different situation.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And yeah, I really think though that it starts with, replicating that energy and thinking about legacy. You know what I mean? Like Nipsey
Definitely.
Hussle is a really good example of somebody who came from that and that generational wealth. But it's gonna
Yeah.
take a lot of work, and it's gonna take a lot of work, man. There's so much revenge out here. It's crazy. There's so much revenge out here.
Right. And right. And like you said, it's not easy. And what I've learned is that a lot of the things that we're more formative when we're younger. So a lot of the things that happen in our childhood and such that we are just now fully becoming aware of now, we don't realize that we need to heal from these things in order to move on from it. Because we start to believe that who we are, because that's all we know. I have a pattern of being like a fixer, like the person that fixes things in my family, and I'm always the one that organizes and all of that. And so that was the, but that doesn't mean that I need to go around trying to fix everybody or everything. So I think that as we get older and as we become more aware of the different patterns and such that we have, we're able to heal from those things, and that is what is really important to get us out of where we are. Because I'm sure that besides the stuff that we can see on the outside, I'm sure you did a lot of inner personal work and healing for you to be able to even get to that point.
Yeah, it started in prison. Honestly, that's where it started for me. Because when you're
Yeah.
in that cell by yourself, and you walk outside, any gang banging or any like activity going on in Portland is different in prison because it's so compacted. You know what I mean? Like your enemy
Mm-hmm.
is in the same spot as you're in. You know what I mean? So
Right.
when you step out of that cell, it's like a war zone. You gotta, it's politics. So, but when you're in that cell, you
Mm.
have a lot of time to reflect, a lot of time to think about
Right.
what you want your life to be like. You know what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Since I've had a son, I've thought about it even more. And leading up to me having a child, I had two miscarriages, um, and both of them really impacted me really heavily because I wanted to have a kid, and
Mm-hmm.
I had to do a lot of work before uh, having this be a reality. A lot of it, what I found in myself is that after a while, there was a lot of self worth that I had to work on because a lot of my identity that I had as a youth, I didn't have anymore when I got out of prison. So I had to build a new identity within
Mm.
myself, make new friendships, be more open minded to things. You know what I mean? Get money differently. I had 5 years hanging over my head, so if I fucked up at all, I was going back to prison. You know what I mean? So it's like
Mm-hmm.
these are the
Yeah.
realities, and a lot of the youngsters out there that are in a different generation, that are in this generation, I see a lot of people putting up guns and showing their pistols in their music videos, and all that stuff is self-incriminating. You know what I mean? And it's like I think for 122nd, I tried to show that you could talk about these issues without glorifying it. You could, you know what I mean?
Right.
You could talk about this stuff without
Mm-hmm.
glorifying it. There's a different way to rap. It doesn't have to be the same thing that everybody's talking about. And it's real,
Right.
Like that's the thing with a lot of my young homies is um the mentality is this is my reality. And that may be true, but you know, there may be a different way to create that reality or represent it, is all I'm saying.
Right. Right. Well, thank you so much for being so transparent and sharing about the loss that you've experienced and the transformation you
Mhm.
went through. Because I know that even to talk about those things, there's a certain level of healing that you have to do and to be ready to share that with other people. So
There's
thanks so
there's
much for
there's
being
healing.
transparent about
There's
that.
like internal healing, and then there's like healing as a culture, because it all connects, right?
Mm-hmm.
In 1898,
Yeah.
America committed genocide on my people. Over 2 million to 3 million Filipinos got murdered. And before that, we were colonized by Spain for 300, 400 years, right? So you
Mm.
got a generation of people. Like I grew up, my mom didn't really know that growing up, because after they killed everybody,
Right.
they re-educated them. So I grew up, my elders didn't know about their culture. They didn't know what tribe they came from. They didn't know. And then you got a group of Filipinos, like a whole bunch of Filipinos migrating into the States, getting paid less. They have to leave their families to send money back to the Philippines. And I'm a first generation immigrant, so that's my role too. Is like anytime a typhoon hits the island, anytime shit goes down in the islands, I gotta send money back or help my mom send money back. Um, and it's that education is really important to understand why we are the way we are, why and also it's not just
Right.
Filipinos, black
Mm-hmm.
people, Mexican, Chicanos, like all that gangbanging shit can be tied in and understood based on the history of colonialism. And
Right.
I think
Right.
educating that to the younger generation is really important, because we're all warriors at the
Right.
end of the day. I feel like all of us have roots in our DNA, that are warriors.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like just just as you said, but the problem with that is that we're so disconnected from it because of everything that's going on in the world, and there's so many distractions that take us outside of ourselves. When
Right.
in reality, if we tap inward, we'll find out so much more about ourselves, and the more we find out about ourselves, the more we understand the world and other people and see our reflections in other people.
Yeah. Once you like get to that level, it's easier to it's easier to not look at people as enemies. Because
Right.
once you're in the cycle of that, and you got revenge in your heart, and I know what it's like to have revenge in your heart. I know what it's like to plan to to sneak up on somebody and pop them. I know what it's like to feel that hatred and that
Mm,
anger. But when you look at
that
the bigger
rage.
picture, at the bigger picture and know who the real enemy is and educate each other, I think that we'll be heading in a different direction. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what it takes for our healing communities. And I don't have all the answers. I'm trying to with this youth center, you know what I mean? But it only helps so much. There's
Right.
money issues too. The city doesn't value this.
Right. The
I have to
funding.
find rich ass white people to fund this type of shit. You know what I mean? But no, no disrespect to the rich ass white people. I got love for y'all too, but um, it's real. Like the city doesn't value this,
Mm.
and they need to. The money needs to reflect it. Not just this program,
Right.
every program, and it needs to be culturally specific.
Right.
Filipinos talk to Filipinos. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Gang members talk to gang members. Houseless folk talk to houseless folk. Black folk talk to their own community too. It's like we all like need to speak the same language and then have leaders um that have the goal of bringing us all together. I feel like, but it takes that relatability first.
Right.
Anyways, we going deep on that. We could
Yeah.
keep going. You got any other
Oh no,
questions?
it's fine. It's fine. Fine. I like to see where conversations flow. I don't like to have strict, rigid schedules and we're going to talk about this at this time. That's not how life works. So
For
I don't
sure.
think that we should try and, yeah. But yeah, no, thank you for sharing that. So I want to talk a
Hmm.
little bit more about ascending flow.
Yeah, yeah,
And, yeah, tell me more about you. You said you founded it with your partner, and tell me about the passion behind starting it and what your main vision is for it.
my main passion behind starting Ascend and Flow has to do with two youths that I started mentoring when I was living in North Portland. Um, and shout out to Giovanni Sharon. She's my musical manager too, but she runs an organization called Up and Over Tour. And she gave me the opportunity
Mhm.
to uh, present my story in assemblies. So I talk to the youth about my stories. We do like a judgment exercise, and she would be like, "Step up if you've been through this. Step up if you've been through that." And then they'd be like, she would be like, put put the hand. She would put her hand over everybody. Who do you think has been to prison? And they would always say me. Who do you think sold drugs? They always say me. And then they say, who do you think owns a business? And they would never clap for me. And then at the end, I would
Mm,
step up as someone who owns a business, as someone who graduated from
right.
college. So these judgment exercises were really important to teach those lessons.
Mm,
Anyways, she had a mentoring
right.
program, and there was some youth in Rockwood that I was mentoring, and I would drive from North Portland all the way to Rockwood to pick these kids up and drive them back to North Portland because I had a studio in the basement I was living in. And I
Mm,
remember now this this is kind of crazy, but I remember having strings on the windshield wipers. It's not safe at all, but I would have them pull the strings while it was raining because it wasn't working.
wow.
And I had like
Mm,
my power steering wasn't working that well, and I would still swoop them up, and it was really dangerous. But a part of me felt like if even though I wasn't uh, financially on a level to actually take care of those things, it was more important to engage them and give them some sort of guidance and some sort of expression. So I swooped them up. I was like paying for their meals from my food stamps and all that stuff, and um, them opportunities to uh, express themselves on stage, make a song. You know what I mean? Like do videos and all that stuff. And we even like did a project in Wapato jail where they actually went on to win an award in Washington D.C. They flew them out and everything. So we did all these things, and
wow. That's
I
awesome.
could see their self-worth go up. It was really important.
Mm,
And then eventually I had to move, and I lost my job, and I was going through a hard time with my relationship at the time. I ended up, you know, breaking up with that person, and I had to move. And what I realized and what I learned from that situation is that if I had the financial backing to sustain myself, I would have been more consistently there. So that's where
Mm.
Ascending Flow started, was like that drive to want to create a program where I can sustain myself, and you know
Yes.
what I mean, and pay our mentors so that they can sustain themselves too. And it wasn't easy. Another thing that I
Right.
noticed is that when I was working in a lot of these programs, music and art, just like everything else, was funded last. It was always pushed off to the
Mm.
side. And for somebody to come from hip
Right.
hop and from street culture, I I seen that as something that saved my life. You know what I mean? So um that was really a part of starting Sending Flow, was the music element and the expression element. It didn't have to be hip hop, just art or some sort of, resource so that you can express yourself, and having a mentor to help guide and relate to you. um and then Ascend and Flow is
Mm.
really inspired by elements. We got wind, water, fire, earth. All of that was inspired by hip hop too.
Mm.
Break dancing, DJing, b-boying, MCing. MCing was like fire to me. DJing was like wind to me.
Mm.
Earth is like graffiti. Water's like break dancing. You got knowledge in the center of all of it. So I was like,
Wow.
okay, how about we take
Yeah.
that element and then create our own? So in our program, we got wind for knowledge and education resources, water's for community and mentorship, earth is for physical wellness, and then you got fire for positive
Mm.
expression and outlet. And that's how we developed the model. And then my beautiful partner made this logo, which is dope because it's like A for Ascend and Flow, and the note goes through it and makes the F. It's like, man, that's
Mm-hmm.
cool when you could like see, you know what I mean? You could represent both the
Yeah.
letters in the same logo. So um and yeah, it just kind of grew from there, and now we're continuing to grow. And both the kids that I was mentoring in Rockwood, one of them is in jail right now for
Mm.
for something, and then another one ended up going to jail as well. And that individual ended up passing at the beginning of this year. um
Mm.
and it really fucks with me because I remember the first time he got shot, I brought him through these doors. He recorded up in here, and I remember feeling like, damn, like we're Ascend and Flow is in a position to only mentor foster youth right now because of our contract. And even though I'm chilling with him, I don't have all the resources to engage him in the way that I want to, because our organization is
Right.
not accessible by the community. So after he passed, it's been like I still got to bury him. You know what I mean? We still got to do the memorial. So um, it's kind of
Mm.
just made this motivation in my heart to create a program that is accessible to the community, especially on the east side. So
Mm.
um, there's a lot of work to do, but I'm driven.
Right. Yes.
Rest in peace,
Yeah,
Dante.
I really like the way that you what story. Um, I like the way that you engage with the youth in something that it's like, instead of all the negativity, like don't do drugs, don't do this, it's like, here's what you can do. Here are some other things, you know what I mean? Because I feel like a lot of the education is based on don't do this or don't do that
Oh,
on the
that
negative,
don't
but
yeah, that don't work.
right,
That
you
do
got to
not
give the
work.
positive examples. You have to be an example and show this is what you can do, and let them recognize that you can feel better doing something like this. Like you are worth more than this. You deserve a better life than this, and this can
Hmm.
be, showing them different things like music or creativity. That's so important because those are the outlets that are needed.
Right.
A
One
lot of times it's like pent up emotion and things of that nature, and they don't have those creative outlets or know that they can
right.
do that. So I think
One
it's
of
really important to engage in that way.
one of my little homies wants to. He's mentoring now. Actually, I remember like when he was younger, he would get into shootouts, and he's like really in the lifestyle out here. And he just started becoming a mentor, which is amazing to see that
Wow.
like generational, impact and how it replicates, right? And the way that he wants to mentor is through low riding. So creating a low riding club, because that's, and there's even some people I know in the community that teach gun safety and gun training classes. Like that's a way to connect. I know it's violent, but what are you gonna do? You just gonna like look at all these shootings and be like, oh, complain, complain, or are you gonna do something to actually talk the language and engage? You know what I mean? So yeah, I
Exactly.
think the choice and supporting, and helping guide in that way as opposed to telling them what not to do.
Right. And even if with the gun safety, it's like you can't stop if somebody wants to get a gun, you can't really stop
It's
them from
everywhere.
getting one.
Yeah.
But you can teach them how to use it properly and how to store it properly so
Right.
that, something worse doesn't happen. So
Word.
that's a good point. Well, thank you so much for sharing more about Ascending Flow.
Yeah.
Where can people donate if
No
they want to
doubt.
give to the organization?
You can go to ascendingflow.org, and there should be a way to donate on the website.
Awesome.
Hmm.
Okay. Well, that 30 minutes went by extremely fast, but I really
It did.
appreciate you for being transparent and talking about your background and what led you to where you are today. You're
Yeah,
definitely
no doubt.
inspiring people all over,
Thank you.
living
I
and
appreciate
past,
that.
I believe. Yes, and really appreciate what you're doing in the community and for being a voice. It's very important, and we need that. We need
Yeah.
more of
Thank
that
you for
these
doing the work.
days.
Thank you for doing the work that you do too. I just wanted to say real quick. Um, you can go to my website, talilomusic.com, to check out my music. I do these things called isalangs. Isalang means only one in Tagalog. And I do like 1 minute music videos. I got a song that I'm doing this year with hopefully this year with Swiggle Mandela, the homie Nina Hearts, and JR. We're all Filipinos. We got this song called Big Flip. Hopefully we
Nice.
get that cracking, and then I'm hoping to lock in something with a major artist to get out there and really represent the culture, represent Portland, and represent all my kababayans back home.
Awesome. Yeah, you beat me to it. I was going to ask where can we find
Oh,
more of
okay.
your music and your content as
My
well.
bad.
So, thanks so much for sharing that. I looking through your catalog, I can see how your Filipino roots, how it inspires your music. And I remember how you said earlier that you needed to have a life that was still in alignment with. Uh-oh, I think we lost you.
Oh,
There you are. Yes, hydration, very important also.
what were you saying though? You're
Awesome.
saying about the culture and being in alignment.
Yes, yes. I was
Uh-huh.
saying it was beautiful how you said that when you came out, you had to make sure that your life was conducive for your history and where you're from and how you wanted to
Right.
represent that properly.
I
Yeah.
think I think it's really important. I think also as an artist with a platform, it's important when people look at me, they see our culture. Like a lot of my
Mm.
tattoos, Filipino flag, bye bye in on my face. You know what I mean? Like these
Yeah.
are the things that like they try to take our tattoos from us, and this is what made us
Mm.
beautiful back in the day. You know what I mean? So I think also for my son and anybody that's tuning in, listening to this, the more that you know your roots, the more set up the next generation is. Because if they don't have those
Mm.
roots, it's easy to get lost in something else that isn't really them and find identity in that. And once you get up in the
Right.
system, you keep going back to the system. It's like a whole cycle, man. So much love. Everybody stay safe out there. It's wild right now.
Yes.
It's gonna be an even more crazy year. I feel like this year. Um, yeah. That's all I got to say.
Well, again, thank you so much. This has been We Out Here Wednesdays,
Out
WOHM
here.
Wednesdays, and we just interviewed Talilo Marfil.
Yee.
Thanks again so much. Make sure you go check out his latest article on our website, and his latest video for 122nd has some rich, rich history and background beyond that. And yes, thanks again for joining us.
Salamat pare. Ingat kayo, ha?
And we'll be back next Wednesday at 1 p.m. Mac will be interviewing a special guest. So make sure you tune in, watch the past videos, and thanks again to Talilo for being here. Thank you to everybody in the audience that came and dropped in. Or if you just want to hear those gems being dropped again, feel free to run it back. Yes, the thesis next Thursday. We just dropped that official artwork. Beautiful, beautiful artwork. And lineup is crazy, so go check that out as well. Ooh, this light is making me kind of hot. Getting a little. Anyways, thank you all for tuning in, and we will see you next Wednesday for WOHM Wednesday. Bye.